What's up, everybody? Welcome back to GameScoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. I'm joined now by Ryan McCaffrey,
hello,
Anthony Gallegos, and
Hi.
Mitch Dyer.
Star Wars.
And we're talking about the just announced news that EA has acquired the exclusive rights to license Star Wars games from Disney.
Somebody's gonna make Star Wars games because it sure as hell wasn't gonna be LucasArts.
Well, not yet. No,
Well,
not
they
yet.
were gonna make them.
They were trying.
So this is a multi-year exclusive licensing agreement. According to the announcement, EA will develop and publish new Star Wars titles for a core gaming audience. I'm sure a lot of people
That's
out there
us.
Yep.
will be happy to hear that. While Disney will still retain the rights to develop titles for mobile, social, tablet stuff, Angry Birds, Star
Lego.
Wars.
I imagine that,
sort of stuff.
that Telltale will still, Traveler's
Traveler's
Tales
Tales.
will still continue to make Lego Star Wars games. Like that's
Yeah.
got to be separate too.
All right.
That's just too much money.
No, yeah, nobody's walking away from that
Yeah.
kind of coin for
Yeah.
sure.
But EA is going to make games for us. They've already got 3 studios working on games, right? DICE, Battlefield developers. DICE is working on it. Visceral is working on something, and BioWare. BioWare has obviously been working on Star Wars for a while.
Well, the Austin studio,
Yeah.
what we hardcore might call BioWare proper, has of course been working on Mass
Never
Effect
heard that.
and Dragon Age.
Yeah, they're no doubt making Dragon Age 3 or something like that.
One of their teams.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So BioWare Montreal is doing Mass Effect. BioWare Edmonton is doing Dragon Age, and Austin
Austin.
has been doing Tor.
Right. These new games will be powered by the Frostbite 3 engine.
No surprise.
Yeah.
That means they're gonna look good.
So yeah, that's what we know. Now, what do we want? What do we hope that they're working on?
Well, I hope that DICE finishes Battlefield before they even bother working on a Star Wars game.
They've got Battlefield
Well-
4 coming out this fall.
Yeah, so they need to work on that.
To your point, though, I feel like this might extinguish any hopes that I had left that Mirror's Edge 2 might actually be in development.
Right, Bad Company 3 for me? No.
Because if suddenly, maybe they were, because they keep teasing, oh, Mirror's Edge 2 is too good to walk away from, we're not done with it.
Yeah.
So like maybe they were working on it, but now this Star Wars deal comes to the table and they're like, okay, we'll just have the non-Battlefield team, we'll have the Mirror's Edge team, you guys will be working
Money?
on.
Forget about you,
You guys will be
innovation.
working on this now.
Your best bet for ever getting another Mirror's Edge game is having like a side-scrolling mobile game. Honestly, like that. If they continue that story, it'll be done.
that doesn't count for me.
I'm just
Sorry.
saying that
I know.
the idea of a first-person Mirror's Edge game done by DICE. Yeah, right.
know.
Yeah.
The first reaction a lot of people have seems to be Battlefront. People want
Yes.
Battlefront.
Everyone wants Battlefront. I just honestly, and they're like, oh, and they have DICE. Clearly, they would just make a Star Wars game and make it into
Battlefront
Battlefront.
is already just a Battlefield ripoff.
but I bet you like, I do not see DICE doing that. I don't know why.
I do.
My gut just says no.
See, I'm kind of in the middle, right? Like you say yes, you say no. I'm in the middle where I think DICE will almost certainly do something multiplayer-centric, vehicle-centric like they have been, but it will basically just be like a Battlefield version of Star Wars, which
Yeah, and it
will
won't be called
essentially be a
Battlefront.
but it will not be called Battlefront. I don't think DICE is a company that will say, we'll take this existing IP and then, and a sub-IP of that IP, Battlefront, and then just put our name on the box. Like I think DICE will want to rebrand it.
It'll
as
be closer to what
whatever.
First Assault was going to be.
I mean, maybe they'll have the balls to call it Star Wars Battlefield.
Maybe. I mean, the thing
That
is,
would be pretty awesome, actually.
It would.
Battlefield is their moneymaker, but Battlefront, you have to remember, was one of the biggest brands
Yeah.
last gen.
Yes.
I'm not saying it still would automatically be the case now, but it's just a no-brainer for that developer and that specific IP to get together and why EA could have. Instead of alternating with Medal of Honor every year, which hasn't been going well, they could alternate Battlefield one year with Star Wars Battlefront the next year, and boom, money in the bank.
There's some people that when this first came with 2 were talking about that they were hoping that this meant that 1313 would get finished because they can license stuff out. But I just cannot see that happen. Like 1313, as far as I'm concerned, will die. It will be
think-
forever
yeah,
dead.
So yeah,
I think
I was
we
going to
should-
ask you about that. You don't think they're going to resurrect it?
You should
No.
you should put those hopes to rest
What?
forever.
I mean, the game.
What a shame, right?
Yeah.
How far along was it really? We don't really know.
I mean,
Early.
it was early, but there were still levels made and stuff. But they weren't done in. First off, they weren't done in Frostbite. They were
Right.
done in like a
proprietary
Proprietary
version of the engine they used
oh,
for like
wait, was it
for
Unreal
like
or no?
Force Unleashed and stuff like that. I forget what that engine's
Oh.
called. No, it's like a weird mix of a bunch of engines.
Okay.
It just looked so cool, and like I want another mature Star Wars game.
Yeah, if anything, I could see Visceral. I mean, they have experience with things like Dante's Inferno, and so I could see them doing some sort of third-person slashing adventure with
So-
lightsabers, like a Jedi one or something.
When I think Visceral, think about the way Dead Space looks, but replace Isaac Clarke with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Or
I
the
could see a
Republic
game like that.
Commandos.
Yeah.
Or Republic Commandos. Oh my God, Mitch.
I would love a Republic Commando too. Like if we're gonna do any sequel to an existing Star Wars game, please make it Republic Commando.
Yeah, but the whole point about these games though is that if they're just now getting the licensing, which means they're all in pre-production,
Yeah.
and the first movie, Episode 7, is supposed to come out in 2015, I would imagine that these are all Episode 7 tie-in games. They're all going to be.
Doesn't he
I
say
don't know about that.
Maybe not even
He
to the-
said that they're meant to be.
They're going to be
standalone-
original stories.
Yeah,
Original stories, but they'll be
they
tied
might, like-
into the future lore. I
Right, like, so if
Yeah.
Episode 7 is about, like, future Luke, future Han, future Leia, might be a little bit of a tie-in to, like, side characters in the movie or how they got there or something.
But a Battlefront lets you circumvent all that.
No, it does. It could literally. Yeah, I mean that is a good point. But I'm saying these other games, I have to imagine these will be not the Episode 7 game necessarily, but
Yeah.
tie-in games.
Whatever the villain is in Episode 7, like, if it's the reemergence of the Empire, you could focus on that in, like, a prequel action game that isn't, like, an Episode 7 : the video game tie-in.
But I just think that as far as like people's like biggest hopes, like we're gonna get a new Battlefront. Maybe Battlefront is the most likely, but you're certainly not gonna see a new X-wing. Maybe
No.
like
Well, that franchise is pretty old by now.
There,
It
there are
is.
few.
Like how many IGN readers know what X-wing is, right?
It also wouldn't sell.
yeah,
Well, not necessarily. I mean,
so?
it was big in its time, but the problem is how many developers have the kind of expertise that it would take to make a space combat
That's the
game
thing.
like that.
Wasn't it just last year that we had Starhawk?
yeah.
And that didn't
Yeah.
make much of an impression.
That's
Yeah.
true. That game was
I mean, I just don't. You won't get an X-wing. You'll probably just get third-person adventure games, more Lego Star Wars games, and then
What
maybe
about-
something unexpected. Like
What about Knights of the Old Republic?
yeah, I mean maybe I could also see another.
We can dream, right?
Well,
yeah.
see, so what some folks may not know is a lot of our viewers may know who Casey Hudson is, the project director on Mass Effect. The reason he got to be the project director on Mass Effect, a whole new IP at the time, was because he was the project director on Knights of the Old Republic 1. So that's why I tweeted today, I'm dreaming, like that's would be it for me if Casey got to go back
Yeah, it'd be tough
and do KOTOR.
because you know the line they've been towing for a long time is that Knights of the Old Star Wars: The Old Republic is supposed to be Knights of the Old Republic 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right?
Yes, Anthony, but that's before they got this big fat Star Wars license. Things change.
Yeah, I don't know. If I could see them doing another Star Wars RPG outside of Old Knights of the Republic.
See, that's what I want, is some original thing, right? Whether it's a shooter, whether it's an RPG, whether it's a flight combat sim, whatever. Like, I want to be surprised. I want them to do completely original things that we don't see coming. I want them to take the expectations we have for, like, a KOTOR or a 1313 or a Battlefront 3 and say, like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this thing that's just as cool.
Sure.
I want to throw one more out at you guys. Visceral, Jedi Knight 3.
So that's what I'm saying, and that's why they already have the experience doing a third-person like hack and slash game. So now you put a lightsaber in his hand.
Yeah, make it happen. Powers.
And actually allow the lightsaber to dismember people. Like they've never. It's been a long time since they've really allowed that to happen.
I guarantee you, with Disney in charge, you will never see that.
That's not necessarily true.
Yeah, I mean, you might be
And
surprised.
you see Iron Man 3, nobody dies on screen in that movie.
That's true, but yeah, he's got a good point. We probably won't see any dismemberments.
Well, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, me too. I mean, if it's good, I'll still play it. I just
Yeah.
hope that whatever games they make come out feeling finished, because EA's put out a lot of games in the last couple of years that, in my opinion, felt rushed, like always rushed.
Like the Old Republic.
The Old
figure-
Republic or Battlefield or like just game after game with them
Yeah.
that's like just felt underbaked, like Medal of Honor.
In
So-
regards to BioWare in Knights of the Old Republic 3, I just remember that they're already working on the next Mass Effect, right?
Yeah.
But not there. Not in Edmonton.
That's in
Really?
Montreal.
Okay.
Montreal.
That's in Montreal.
Okay, so they do have theoretically a studio available.
They must be working on Dragon Age. That's what everyone
Well,
thinks.
they're
Well, one
we already- we
team.
know
They
they're
have
doing
multiple
Dragon Age
teams
too.
in Edmonton.
That's true.
This my ship. All the girls stomp your feet like this.
A friend of mine, Max Scoville, who works at Revision 3, was talking about how he'd like to see a Criterion develop pod racing game, and I'm totally on board with that.
Oh my
A
god.
pod
yes.
racing game like made
Holy
by like an
crap.
awesome racing
So what
game
if they
studio.
did take their brands and like, so what if it's like Burnout pod racing?
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I'm there.
Right?
Except I can have crazy wreck modes, but with a pod racer.
That's all
yeah,
I
I'm
want.
all there.
That's the only game I want.
Yeah, just crash
I think we
modes.
can end this segment right now.
Forget lightsabers. Who needs?
Yeah,
Ugh.
I would play
yes.
that.
Yeah, me too.
But you got to figure, Damon, there's a lot, like EA, unless they got this license for a song, which probably not, like they probably had some suitors
Star
lined
Wars
up.
license, yeah.
EA's got a lot riding on this because they've been having some shaky financial times lately. Their
yeah,
their
that's the
CEO
thing.
stepped down.
Yeah, people love to hate on EA these days.
Yeah.
So I wonder, does this make EA look better, or does it make Star Wars look worse?
I don't know. I just have to imagine this all comes out of the relationship they built through making the Old Republic together. Like
Probably,
now
yeah.
EA and,
Sure.
and Lucas have like this good established relationship. They know that they can deliver on a product. So I imagine it just comes out of that for them. Lucas is like, we're not going to make games anymore. Who can we license to? Who do we already have deals with?
Yeah.
Let's just stick with one company as opposed to spreading it out.
Yeah, and despite the maybe not as big a success as the Old Republic was, you can't argue that EA creatively didn't go all in on that. I mean, what they put that massive, they built that Austin studio and said this is what you're doing, and they really put everything they had into it.
Yeah, the Old Republic was in many ways a really risky and awesome game in some aspects.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks, guys. Stay tuned for more video game talks right here on IGN GameScoop.